So, I grew up in a household where screaming, fighting, crying all the time, violence was very normalized. And I didn't know anything else. I grew up with it. Um, I was obviously a child, and I was obviously the one that was screamed at, and that was actually the victim of those things, of the violence and screaming and everything. I was dreaming about it. Like when I was going to bed, I just still heard the screams, I still heard everything. I was dreaming about the fighting and the screaming, and everywhere I was, it just kind of followed me. It never really went away. And I began to cope with that by um, uh, disassociating from situations. I remember doing that when I was in school. Of course, I did that at home all the time when I was at home. I dissociated at home all the time. I dissociated in school. I just remember myself just sitting there in this chair, and I think it was just really really loud around me. Just like what a classroom's like, basically. And I just remember dissociating from that situation. I remember viewing myself from above, really kind of messed up stuff. I don't do that anymore, luckily. That stopped when I was about, I think, 16, 17, when I first started going to therapy. I don't do that anymore. But I just remember so many situations, a bunch of situations. I was in sports. I was good at sports. I always enjoyed doing sports. But of course, there are coaches. And, the most normal thing a coach does is just scream at you and just, they use their voice to kind of motivate you or tell you what to do, which is the most normal thing ever. But I was just, once I was standing there on the field, and he was screaming at me, and I was just like, I just froze in that moment. I was holding my racket, and I just froze, and the daughter of the coach was also there, and she kind of witnessed that, and she saw that, she saw how freaked out I was, and she was like, okay, calm down, like, Dad, calm down. I just remember so many situations like that, and it's just so sad, that happened, and that I always felt like I was being attacked, and I was being, I don't know, I was under violence, under attack all the time. So that still feels very normal to me, that kind of situation when everything just goes wrong, or when, just whenever there's fighting, or there are hard situations, or there's a drama somewhere. That just feels like home to me, because that's all I knew. It's all I knew growing up. So that feels very familiar, and that kind of, as strange as it sounds, that kind of calms something in me, or it kind of reassures something in me. Something like, yeah, it's like that again, it's like normal again. I don't really know how to tell it, like what to say otherwise. Other people feel calm when everything is just, in, like, everyone is happy, everything is harmonious. I feel great when that happens as well. I really love those moments. I'm really grateful for those moments. But it's always like, okay, am I really safe here? Like, is something gonna, explode anytime soon? Is something gonna switch anytime soon? Or is it like this, is it like constant now? Like, is this like what it is? Or I don't know if you know what I mean, but that happens to me pretty frequently. I've been to therapy, of course I've been to therapy, but yeah, of course, like it may have helped some aspects, but I also felt very, very misunderstood. Like I went to a bunch of different therapists, but there's just so many reasons for myself why I don't want to go to therapy anymore, and I just feel like it's, I just witness people just staring at their clock, and then looking at me again. And I don't know, like that is not really something that's gonna help me, But I think therapy is great. I think if you have a good therapist, this is a great method. But yeah, I feel like doing something like this, just talking to a camera, just maybe sharing it with other people so other people can relate to me, does a lot more than whatever, Those are the reasons why that doesn't work for me. But still, I just catch myself in those situations, Whenever there's chaos, I'm functioning great, I'm just doing great. And I'm still in kind of, I don't know, like life often doesn't feel real to me. Just basic stuff doesn't feel real to me. I feel like I was not prepared to be in this world. I was not. I was really, really not. And I'm pretty much struggling with everything, with most things I have to do. With so many easy things, I just see myself struggling so much. And when it comes to like harder things, like harder things that are just nerve wracking, I'm doing so well, I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I feel like if you grew up in a similar household, you probably can. But yeah, and I also grew up around, yeah, so this was my household. But then I went to school with a bunch of children, with a bunch of kids that were just raised normally in normal households. And I was so different all the time. I felt so different all the time. I felt so, like I was not a part of that, even though I was, even though I met a lot of nice people in my life, a lot of friends, but I was never really part of that, because I always felt like, man, I come from this horrible fighting household, from this craziness, from this insanity, I'm around all of those normal children, and it's just like life felt like a whole act, like school felt like an act. And then of course, what else can happen? I became very depressed from that. I just started laying in my room all the time. I became very, very depressed. And I feel like that's just what happens, when you're growing up in a violent household. I don't know if you can relate. I would have liked a video like 10 years ago. I would have loved a video like this where a person was talking about their experiences at home and just how horrible it was, and how, like, I always felt like an alien just going out there. I always felt like a fucking alien because I knew other people were just living their normal, happy lives, and I was just in this insanity. I would have wanted a video like this. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. Yeah, and again, I'm struggling. Like today, I'm struggling. Everything that happened to me really led to me being very anxious, very sad all the time, just expecting the worst out of everything. I'm just expecting the worst out of everything, everything that happens around me. I'm just expecting the worst, I cannot see the good anymore. It feels like I'm in constant mode of, I have to be careful all the time, and I have to pay attention all the time because, like in any second something bad could happen, and then I'm just in this loop again, I don't know if you understand it, but I feel like that's just what my life has been, That's just what it's been like. And I really appreciate being around positive people, being around people that are just, that also went through a lot, that also experienced a lot in their lives, and they're just happy. They are not happy, but they have a positive outlook in life. They trust in the universe, they have trust in life. Because I don't have that anymore. That went away. All the trust in life is pretty much gone. And I really appreciate being around people that have that still have a positive outlook on life. Because it's so hard for me to see positive things, to really appreciate life. You know, I appreciate some things in life. I really appreciate animals. I appreciate nature. I appreciate the sun. I appreciate different countries. I just appreciate the general aspect of nature and just being outside. I really do appreciate that. But my trust in people has kind of, I don't know. I didn't meet a lot of very good people in my life. I didn't have the chance to meet good people in my life. That was kind of just my one take, you know. I won't cut this video, you know. I'm just gonna post it like that, and if you feel like you can relate to it, I'm glad, because again, I would have wished for a video like this when I was younger.